Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, which is related to sexual harassment entitled Don't Hide, Speak Out. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is AISYAH and I'll be serving as your moderator for today's discussion. We're going to talk about the sexual harassment that ever happened to all ages. Who is the person that should be blamed, and what are the actions that must be taken by the victim after being sexually assaulted? Before we go through each panel to share their experience and opinion, I want to ask, did you know what is the actual meaning of sexual harassment? Okay, so sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual behavior that's offensive, humiliating, or intimidating. It can be written, verbal, or physical and can be happen in person or online. So, we'll be hearing a perspective from 4 panels on this very timely subject. And our invited panels for today are Madam ALYA, Teacher Nurin, Teacher Madihah, and Miss IZZATI. So, before we get started, I wanted to take a few minutes of your time. Okay, there are a few housekeeping notes that I need to inform. The first one is, today's session is being recorded to be available for viewing post-conference. If you have any questions for the presenters, kindly use the chat features in this Google Meet webinar. However, we will hold most questions until the end of session and I'll be reading questions out loud for the presenters to answer at time limits. Okay? So, now let's please welcome our first panel, which is the mother of victim, Madam ALYA. Hello, Madam ALYA. How are you doing?
Hello, Miss ATHIRAH. It took months for me to recover from all this trauma after what happened, but I'm in the pink of health now. Thank you for asking me, Miss AISYAH.
All right. So, based on the topic that we are going to discuss for today, what is your opinion or maybe experience that you have been go through along this way as a mother?
Okay, so for the question, what is my point of view of this issue is, parents are lack of knowledge and awareness in sex education. They believe in sex education myth because when we teach our children in sex education, it will lead them to to it will lead them to have sex at the early age, and they also think we normalize teenage sex or to encourage to sexual behavior. That is why parents need to, before having kids, parents need to learn of what is sex education and know how much important sex education to our children. Because most of the parents believe it does not meant for children's ear. Sex education is not only about sex, but it's about our body. It's about our biology system. What children need to know at the early age is they need to know the name of the body parts and their function, and also they need to differentiate between boys and girls. And also at the 4 to 7 years old, they need to know how the babies are made, where the babies come from, and they should know about what is puberty, what happens to our body when we hit the puberty, what should we do when we hit the puberty. This is for their future. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam ALYA. I think that is such a good info for all of us here. Okay, now let's welcome our second panel who is currently working as a teacher at the kindergarten school. So it might sound better if I call you Teacher Nurin. Hello, Teacher Nurin. How are you doing so far?
Hello. Hello, quite well, thank you.
All right. So, if you don't mind to share with us today, is there any kids at your kindergarten who have been sexually assaulted?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Miss Aisyah, our moderator. Hi, Assalamualaikum, and good morning to everyone. As you know, my name is NURIN JAZLIN BINTI AZMI. I am a preschool teacher and have been teaching for almost 7 years. According to the moderator question, there is no sexual harassment issue in my kindergarten. But back to my diploma practical, I have an experience handle my student who is involved in sexual harassment. I still remember one day one of my students come to kindergarten in rush like she want to stay away from her father. And if you want to know, she is an autism kid living with her parents after their parents divorced. At that time, her emotions totally changed, and yes, her body bruises and has a red spot at her private part. After this case happened in front of my eyes, and the victim also one of my students, it really left an impact to me and my friends. After that, we always make sure our students safe, checking emotions, and always ask them if they have something to share with us. I think parents also should the same way because they should always check children physicals and emotion. There is some of my experience that I can share to all of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Teacher Nurin. I think that is such a great info for all of us here, as well as parents, so that we will always aware of this kind of situation. Okay, so after hearing the perspective from a kindergarten teacher about young children, let's hear the opinion from our third panel, who is also working as a teacher, but more specifically as a school counselor. Please welcome Teacher Madiha. Hello, Teacher Madiha.
Hello, hello.
How are you, teacher?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
All right, that's good. So, as we all know, there are lots of cases regarding sexual harassment happen at school, and it is also not just happen for the female students, but male students also affected in these matters. So, can you share your opinion about sexual harassment in school?
Right, sure. Not going to be a problem. Okay,
All right.
so next slide. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum to everyone and a very good day to all of you. And thank you to the moderator. So as a school counselor, I have been working for about 5 years and still counting. And throughout my working experience, I noticed that this issue in school setting, obviously, is actually a serious crime. This is because we can see here, I like to begin this by stating that nowadays, schools are not a safe place for students. As you can see on the screen, the largest group of perpetrators consists of peers, teachers, and also religious teachers. And these three groups we can see here include both genders, male and also female. So personally, I think that this issue is best to describe as a wound that cannot be healed. Next slide, please. Okay, this is due to two causes of sexual harassment in school. First is school reputation are beyond the students' right, and the combination to this cause would be uncertain actions taken by the authorities. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, here we can see two recent news regarding the sexual harassment among the school students. The first website states that there was a rape jokes case made by a school teacher to his own student. And based on this article, there were no actions taken by the authorities, like very clearly actions. And next, meanwhile, the other website states that there was an abusive case, but this time it involved 9-year-old young boy from a Tahfiz school. And this time, this case was dismissed easily just because the school owned by a celebrity preacher. So here, certainly we can see that both cases here indicates that the law application in our country is totally biased when it comes to cases related to elite or to perpetrators, or we can say criminals, with titles. So I believe that this combination of two causes that I have mentioned earlier will definitely lead the victim among the school students to stay silent in pain and also trauma. So that is my perspective with respect to my own view as a school counselor. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Madiha. That is such a clear explanation and easy to be understand. So we have been hearing three perspectives which represents for children and students. What about the sexual harassment among adulthood? Now, I am glad to welcome our last panel who have been working as a freelance counselor. Please welcome Miss Izzati. Hello, Miss Izzati. How are you?
I'm great, Alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking me.
All right. So, I am pretty sure that you have been handling many cases regarding these matters. Therefore, we are eager to know what kind of sexual cases that ever happen among adults. If you don't mind to share with us today.
All right. Thank you for the question. Next slide, please. All right. First of all, I would like to begin by we all know that sexual harassment can happen anyway. For example, it can happen at the workplace, school, university, and also can happen at the public spaces or areas such as at a shopping mall, car park, toilet, and also can happen at your home too. It can happen anytime to anyone, and it's not a gender based, okay? There's no axiom for person or place. It can happen to you, to your mother, your sister, your brother, or even your grandmother. It can happen to anyone. Okay, so we have to be careful with that. Right, for example, according to the News Straits Time, recently the country was shocked by the bold confession of the country's diving queen, Datuk Pandalila Rino, who revealed that she had experience facing a coach who made an obscene things as a joke. In the simple word, we call like people like to normalizing the sexual harassment as a joke. Next slide, please. Thank you. To prove it, in a series of tweets, Pandarella recalled a former coach who often made sexually inappropriate joke during training. And 7 years later, can you imagine? The coach ended up with committed rape. Pandarella also added with the hashtag rape joke is not funny, and she shared the story to raise an awareness to the people out there about the sexual harassment. So from my point of view, according to this issue is we need to know that sexual harassment, sexual matters, or even a rape joke is not funny at all because according to the law of Malaysia, Act Penal Code says it's a crime. So we cannot do that. We cannot do the sexual harassment to the people out there because we could be arrested. Okay, so the moral of the story is the most importantly, I must say, do not underestimate the issue of sexual harassment. We must speak out because small voices still matter if we are united. That's all for me.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Izzati. From what you have explained just now, it shows that sexual harassment affected people regardless of their age. All right, so after hearing all of the cases that have been shared by our panelists, I am so impressed that makes me wanted to know more about these cases. This is because many say that sexual harassment mostly happen to adults and usually women are the targeted victims. But little did they know that young children as well as both genders are actually affected to this matter. Now, I am excited to invite each panel to our next session where we will be discussing about who takes the blame. So we are back to our first panel, Madam ALYA. So for Madam ALYA,
Yes.
okay, what is your opinion for this matter? I mean, who is the one that should take the blame, in your
All right.
opinion?
Okay, thank you, Miss Aisha. So, who takes the blame if this happen? No matter what, I will say the rapist and the harasser. This is their blame. They are the criminals, and criminals are still criminals. However, I would like to emphasize on parents' responsibilities. Nowadays, some parents are irresponsible. Why I'm saying this? Because most of the parents did not believe their children. They think they are lying. You have to know children are still pure. They didn't know how to lie. How come they create a story, a dark story, if this does not happen to them? So that is why parents, you have to be alert with this. Also, I need to the biggest mistake that parents do is if this happen, parents did not check their children's physical if there were any bruises or wounds. They think they also feels like hugging or kissing excessively from family members is just a normal action. They just think it's an action to show how much we love them. That is why most of sexual harassment happen in the family, not with the strangers. Why I'm saying this because you can see from the slide. On 26 October 2021, Insina Harian said that an uncle raped his own niece at their house. This Also, I need to this happened in the family, not with the strangers. Also, I need to speak out here to the parents out there. You don't have to be ashamed, and you have to face the reality. If this happened, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't need to choose. You don't need to hide the truth. If this happened, you have to tell them they are the criminals and not us. They are the one who need to feel ashamed and not us. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Alia. Next, as a kindergarten teacher, who do you think that should take the blame? Sorry,
Thank
Teacher
you for
Nuri.
the questions.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, kindergarten teacher also need to take blame about what is going on this day. Why? This is because teacher is the second important person to children. Children spend almost half day in kindergarten. Teacher also the closest one to children, even they can recognize if children's emotions and physical change. When children involved with sexual harassment, children emotion obviously change. They did not cheerful anymore, stay away from others, often feel scared to approach people, and if sexual harassment more severe, children children body will bruising. At this point, teachers should take their responsible to ask what happened, why they are not happy anymore going to kindergarten, and why they did not want to join any class activities and others. And the other reason why kindergarten teachers should take the blame because some of the teachers did not pay attention to their children as well as possible because they think they have many children in their kindergarten. Some teacher always focusing on their favoritism. For example, the cutest one in the class, the talkative one in the class. Teacher also just focusing on their job scopes. That's mean only teaching and then going back home without taking care about their other children. So I think that is some of my opinions why kindergarten teacher also need to take blame. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Nurin. Moving on to Teacher Madiha. Basically, in school, there are many people that can be blamed, such as teachers, staff, and fellow students. So, as a school counselor, what is your opinion?
Okay, thank you again to the moderator. So as a school counselor, I think that there are three people to blame for this issue with respect to the school setting. The first, of course, the perpetrators of this crime should be blamed regardless of who they are, whether they are students, teachers, or even if they are religious teachers. This is because those perpetrators who have titles, they have the tendency to use their titles to cover their crimes or to cover their bad deeds. So that we have to always be careful and always remember that perpetrators can come from various backgrounds. And next, we can blame the irresponsible principals who tend to keep those cases related to sexual harassment that happen in their school just to maintain their school reputations. I believe that selfishness and also ignorance are the strongest enemies for every leaders. And in this case, we are focusing on the principals who are the school leaders. So that if they lose to fight with those values, negative values, I believe that they will definitely try to maintain their responsibility instead of enhancing their own responsibility as the school leaders. And last but not least, the unfair authorities who dealt with this issue need to be blamed too. This is because those unfair authorities they have the tendency to ignore the laws when they are dealing with the cases related to elites or related to people with titles. And I think obviously, and it is clear that those unfair authorities, they do not apply the laws fairly and squarely. So again, I would like to highlight the three people to be blamed in school setting. And the first one is the perpetrators, the irresponsible principal, and also the unfair authorities. And that's all from me.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Madiha. Last one for Miss Izzati. As the freelance counselor, the setting might be bigger than the other. So, who do you think that should take the blame?
Next slide, please. All right, for me as a freelance counselor, I think the harasser is the offender because he has breaks the rule. Like he makes a joke about sexual matter which make people around feel anger. feel uncomfortable with their attitude, with their behavior. That is the obvious of sexual harassment. For your information, sexual harassment can come in many forms, like verbal, visual, physical, gestural, and all of that. But according to the Pandalela cases, it involves a sexual harassment in the terms of verbal form. Okay, for example, like a joke, comment, sounds, and asking inappropriate question. So for these cases, it's about the sexual joke. Highlight the word joke. Okay. Obviously, the harasser is the offender because, according to the law of Malaysia, Act Penal Code 574 Section 509 says whoever intending to insult the modesty of any person, utters any word, make any sound, any visual, or asking for inappropriate question shall be heard. That means the harasser is the offender, and the harasser shall be punished with imprisonment for about 5 years, with fine or with both. That is the law of Malaysia. So with that, we need to know that sexual harassment is an offense in penal code. That means it's a crime. So we need to be clear about it. Yeah, that's all for me.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Izzati. I am personally agreeing with those opinions given. This is because there is no issues with the victims, but the perpetrators themselves are the one who should be blamed of. Now, let's move to the next session where we really have to pay attention on. So if you guys don't mind, please share some advices or maybe some actions that we should take if we are the victims. Let's start with Madam Alia. Hello, Madam Alia.
Hi, hello.
Okay. So can you give your
Okay.
advices?
So on behalf of parents, I would like to advise to parents. Okay, thank you. Okay, so on behalf of parents, I would like to advise to parents out there to please listen and believe to your children's story. Be a responsible parents. And if this happen, report them to the authorities. And also, you have to bring them to the hospital to collect all the evidence. You have to bring them to the hospital to collect all the evidence. As precaution, you need to teach your children about sex education and also self-defense. Also, our biology system. Then you can teach your children about it. And then you have to warn your children of adults that first, if
Hello?
ignore children privacy, then give money or sorry. Can I repeat it again?
Yes, sure.
Sorry for lost connection. I'm so sorry. So I repeat it again. So on behalf of parents, I would like to advise to all parents out there, please listen and believe to your children's story. If this happen, please report to the authorities and bring them to the hospital. And also, as precaution, you need to teach your children about self-defense and also sex education. But first, you have to change the mentality of sex education. It's not only about sex, but it's about our body, our biology system. Then you can teach your children about it. And then you can warn your children of adults that first, find a way to be alone with your children. Then ignore children's privacy. Then give children money or present without particular reason. And last but not least is communicate excessively, like messages, calls, and others. Please prevent it before it's too late. That's all from me.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Alia. So next, Teacher Nurin, as a kindergarten teacher, what are the advices that you want to give to young children?
Okay, thank you. My advice as a kindergarten teacher, we should play an important role to expose children to sex education. I think that is not make any sense if some of kindergarten teachers still think that children in kindergarten cannot be exposed to sex education because they are still young and
Thank
they
you.
did not know anything. So teachers need to teach children about their body part, which means what are the body part can be touched and can't be touched. According to Dr. ATHIRAH from my metro, just like I provide here, teachers need to teach children to know how to distinguish between okay touch and not okay touch. Also, teachers should provide a simple sex education for children. And lastly, teach children to say no to other people that not familiar to them. That is some of my advice. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Nurin. So as a school counselor, Teacher Madihah, what are the advices that you want to give to the school students, or maybe how students should react to these matters?
Okay, thank you to the moderator. Okay, as a school counselor, I would like to advise victims, especially among the school students, to always speak out and do not hide yourself from this hated crime. Why they need to practice this slogan? This is because students have rights to speak, as the freedom of speech is one of their rights that actually need to be fulfilled by the adult. But how they can practice this slogan? Okay, here I have listed 3 actions for the school students. Firstly, they need to be brave to say no to any sexual harassment attempt. And secondly, they need to avoid making any connections with perpetrators. For example, having online conversation with the perpetrators. And thirdly, they need to be wise. They need to be wise to find the right source or the right place to seek help. For example, in school setting, you have your school counselor, so you can seek help from them. So again, I would like to restate and I would like to remind to those victims among the school students to speak out and do not hide. Please remember this slogan. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Madihah. And the last one for Miss IZZATI, what are the advices that you want to give as a freelance counselor?
Okay, thank you for the question. Right, first of all, I would like to state no one deserves or asks to be sexually harassed because everyone has the right to work and live in an environment that's free from the harassment, because we all know that sexual harassment is a crime and it's illegal. But if you have been sexually harassed, what can you do? Okay, number one, you have to tell the harasser that their behavior isn't welcome. Like you have to warning them. For example, you can say like this: don't touch me. If you do it, I will call the police. This is a crime for me. Okay? You have to warning them like that. And number two, you have to record each accident in writing. Or also you can use your phone to record the identity about the harasser, the time, date, venue, the witness, or some evidence if they're available. Okay, number three, you also can get some moral support from your family, your friend, classmate, housemate, and so on. And number four, the last one, if the sexual harassment continue, it doesn't stop. What should you do is you have to make a formal report. I mean, you have to make a police report. That is the best way you can do. You don't have to keep silent. If you still silent, the harasser and also the sexual harassment can affect you. And that is the worst thing.
All right. Thank you so much to all panels for your advices, and I'm sure that all of us had received new knowledge about our safety and rights. After hearing all those perspectives, as well as infos about the sexual harassment, I believe that each and every one of us have something to ask to our respected panels. But before that, there are some notes that I want to inform. You may straightly ask a question to the panels, and I will also go through the questions that have been ask in the chat box. Okay. So the first question is, how does sexual harassment affects you? So who want to answer this question?
I think me.
Okay.
Okay. On how sexual harassment can affect you, right? For my answer, if you have been sexually harassed, you might have a physical symptoms of like stress, anxious, or depressed, and also you can lose your confidence, the self-esteem, and not only that, you also unable to concentrate because like every day you always think about the harasser, the bad behavior, your dignity, your work if you are working, and the last one, you might be less productive. So for me, that is how sexual harassment can affect you. Yeah, that is my answer.
All right, so it looks like we are out of time now. So to conclude the webinar, I would like to say thank you to all the panels and all the audience for attending. We hope you have got lots of new information and enjoyed this presentation. So for the question that you have been writing in the chat box, we will make sure to answer it in the Telegram group. Okay, so let's have a photography session, I guess, before we left this meeting. Okay. Actually, can someone back up me?
Yeah.
Okay, count 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Group